What questions he with them? Why are you questioning the disciples? And so he was then told by one that I have brought my son which have a dumb spirit, and wheresoever he taketh him, he teareth him, and he foameth and gnasheth with his teeth, and pineth away. And I spake to the disciples, and they couldn't cast him out, and that they should cast him out, and they could not. And so here the man looking for help, and so he took his son to the disciples, and he was really expecting of the disciples to do something, to bring him some sort of comfort, some sort of solace. And here it says that they couldn't do it. And so Jesus saying to them, how unbelieving you people are. How long must I stay with you? How long do I have to put up with you? Bring the boy to me. And so we look and we recognize the authority that Jesus used in telling them to bring the boy unto him, because this man was in dire, desperate, and he was really looking for some sort of relief. And as soon as they brought him to Jesus, when the spirit saw Jesus, it threw the boy, and he fell to the ground, and he rolled, foaming at the mouth. And Jesus asks, how long has it been like this? Jesus asked his father, and his father replied, ever since he was a child. And so we recognize that this was something ongoing. And his father went on and says many times that the evil spirit would have tried to kill him by throwing him into the fire and into the water. But please have pity. Have pity on us and help us if you possibly can. Here the man is crying out for a need. And there may be a need that you have, and you too can call on the Master. He's saying, help if you possibly can. And so Jesus, in his wisdom, says, yes, if you yourself can everything is possible for the person who has faith. Note what Jesus said. If yourself can, everything is possible for the person who hath faith. And so it doesn't matter the situation. It doesn't matter what time it is. Jesus made it clear that it is possible if you, the one who is in that situation, the one who is pleading on behalf of your family, of your loved one, if yourself can have faith, it is possible. And the father, when he heard that, he at once cried out, and he said, I do have faith, but not enough. Help me to have more. He said, Lord, I believe. Help thou my unbelief. I do have faith, yes, Lord, but I could do it some more. And so Jesus, when he noticed that the crowd was closing in on them, he gave that command to the evil spirit. And note Jesus calling it out as it is. Too often we try to nice over and put things neat. Jesus says, thou deaf and dumb spirit. That's what Jesus said. He said, I order you to come out of the boy and never go into him again. Calling me out for who that spirit was. Dumb and deaf. And when we are dealing with supernaturals, we must understand that we must also be prayed up spiritually, fasting, making sure that we are ready for battle. Because even though Jesus gave the command, and even though Jesus had the authority, and even though that the enemy knows that he have to come out, didn't come out just like that. But note that the spirit screamed and threw the boy into a bad fit and came out. It is very important that we know that the disciples were already trying and they couldn't. It was a case where Jesus was showing that the kingdom of God is at hand. He was showing the kingdom of God here on earth, the power. Jesus showed his authority by standing up to this evil spirit. And it was a case that the boy was so weak that when they looked at him, they thought that he was a corpse. The people around, they were saying, he is dead. But Jesus took the boy by the hand and helped him to rise. And he stood up. And after Jesus had gone inside, his disciples asked him privately, why couldn't we drive the spirit out? And it is important for us to note that when we are in these types of situation, that we cannot rely on self, that we cannot rely on what we think we know, but we must rely on God, that we must rely on Jesus, that we must rely on his words. We must speak with authority, knowing what we are about and whose we are. And so the disciples, of course, they had felt a kind of a way, because the people were looking on and they were expecting them to do what Jesus did. And so they came privately and asked Jesus, but why couldn't we do this? You make it look so easy. Why couldn't we just drive this spirit out? And Jesus answered, only prayer can drive this kind out, answered Jesus. Nothing else can. And so we recognize this morning that it is not just good enough to attend church. It is not good enough just to have a form of godliness, but it is to be filled with the Spirit. That it is to be filled, recognizing that through prayer and fasting, that no demon can stand before you. The instructions that was sought, it is for our good to note that the disciples were rendered powerless. And too often we are rendered powerless because we are lacking and failing to fast and pray. As a nation, we must recognize that it is time that we stop playing church and get back to the place where we used to attend prayer meetings. And not just only on a Saturday or Sunday we go to church and that's it. But that we seek God's face and that we call. For he said if we call, he would answer. That we do the things that are pleasing to God. And that we would not be put in this position of being rendered powerless disciples or followers of God, but that we would be powered up with prayer and ready to do what God has commanded us to do. Here the disciples were given the key, the secret, and so too we have it this morning. Prayer and fasting is very essential. faith if you believe, but prayer and fasting is the key. And so God bless you and have a wonderful time. Until next time.
This has been another broadcast of the Voice of Truth from the Ebenezer United Church, Old Manor Estate, Gingerland, Nevis. We are all called upon to make difficult decisions at difficult times, but we can always be assured that the Lord is with us to strengthen and keep us. This broadcast was intended to share some of this good news with you. Please be assured that it is never too late to make a change in your life for God. If you have been blessed or encouraged in any way, we invite you to share this good news